What things do you unfortunately know from experience? You cannot love someone into loving you. Never co-sign for a friend. Never co-sign for anyone. If they can't decide if they want to date you or someone else, take yourself out of the equation. Stress impacts not only your mental health, but your physical health too. Set your boundaries early and clearly. Never combine bleach and ammonia. Sure, everyone knows that. But as a kid, I just made a mental note to not combine flasks labeled bleach and ammonia when hanging out in a lab. Skip to young adult years. I'm working in a vet clinic, and what do I spray into a litter box with tomcat in it? Well, it was extra stinky, so I skipped the chlorohex and went for the bleach spray, of course. I was also in a tiny little room with a tub but no ventilation. It was like breathing in gas that ignited in my throat. Lesson learned. Not everyone has family or even parents who love them. People always assume everyone does. Edit. Thanks to everyone who commented and for the awards. I feel so special. I have so many things I wish I could say to each of you. Sending virtual hugs to everyone who knows the pain of being without loving parents. Since I can't say everything I want to say, I'll just say this. Please deal with the trauma of this issue. It's hard and it stays with you forever, but it can be dealt with. A book I highly recommend is Complex PTSD by Pete Walker. Get it now. It's amazing, insightful, and is helping me heal myself slowly. If you are struggling, I think it will be a wonderful read. Remember that even though is not an excuse or a justification. Our parents were once children who were probably hurt as well. Hurt people. Hurt people. Let's all be better than them and not carry on abusive cycles. Hope everyone is having a great day. It's not what you know. It's who you know is not just a trite saying. The term fireproof is always relative. Nothing tragic or anything. Let's just say if you're getting into metalwork, don't cheap out on your PPE. When you get hungry, sometimes you're not actually hungry. Only lend money you don't mind losing. Always keep your mouth closed when cleaning the toilet with a toilet brush. Sometimes you can't fight back when someone harms you, nor scream or even move. Apparently, freezing is very common and dying sucks. That some people are just going to be assholes. Just because someone hasn't broken up with you or clings to the relationship doesn't mean they really want to be with you. Sometimes you have to break your own heart to get out of an unpleasant situation. Money doesn't mix with friends or family. Never give someone money that you aren't willing to burn. Being lonely can make you think and act in ways that will only perpetuate the problem, not make it worse. It's illegal to ship food from Australia to South Korea. Thankfully, the post office worker made sure to check what I was shipping, or I could have ended up in serious trouble. Hypothermia really isn't a bad way to go. I tipped a canoe in northern Minnesota during late spring and spent 45 minutes in 40 water. After a while, you stop feeling cold. The shivering and terror are replaced by a nice, warm, peaceful calm. I managed to get to shore and pull myself out of the water, but that was all the strength I had. Miraculously, my screams for help were heard from over half a mile away. When I heard the boat, I could barely lift my arm to show them where I was. It was ATF and sunny, but I was lying there dying. You do not decide if you pet the goat. The goat decides if you pet the goat. You can do everything right and still not make some people happy. Only almost happy. It's designed like a dangling carrot just outside of your reach. With just one more push, you may be able to grasp it, but you won't because it's impossible. If you stop trying to grab the carrot, you will upset them. That's a price worth paying. Don't ignore excuse red flags. Holding on to anger only poisons you. When you're hurt and backed into a corner, suddenly everyone becomes an enemy. You can't make someone like you back. Edit. When I say like, I mean in the romantic sense. Disclosing any mental health issues to your employer can and will be used against you. Edit. Thank you for the silver. I hope everyone that's replied who's had or having issues with their employer finds somewhere they're safe and accepted. Having a kid with special needs requires a very patient and prepared parent. My brother has special needs and my parents have been worn down because of it. They are both borderline alcoholics, partly due to the stress involved in it, and many arguments are created because of parenting disagreements. Basically, it can really complicate family dynamics. I tend to keep to myself to avoid the arguing and constant conflict. Note: I love my brother and I am not trying to sound insensitive here. Just trying to shed some light on a perspective not touched on often. That even the worst food does not taste like. I am not as smart as I thought I was as a teenager. The older I get, the smarter I used to be. Never assume you have lot of time. It doesn't matter how much you give to a narcissist. They'll always expect more. Falling into an ice fishing hole is very cold. Never make someone your everything. Because when they leave, you'll have nothing. You can work your ass off, stay late, work after hours, and devote your time and energy to a career and end up getting laid off when business is in trouble. I had glowing reviews. I was well liked. Up for a promotion. The business and the numbers don't care. Edit. I'm truly overwhelmed by the response and to hear how many of you agree and have experienced similar things. I really feel like we weren't meant to live our lives the way most of us do with work. I'm so saddened by everyone's TI experiences. Exclamation point. Edit 2. If anyone is having a rough go of it and needs to talk, you're welcome to message me. 3. PS TI for the awards. I have good manners and need to say thanks even though it's corny. Being stabbed in the back hurts. Especially when you have no idea it's coming. You can give it all. You can love the company. But it won't love you. Your managers aren't your friends. They are the company's friends. Heroin is bad. HR is not your friend. What's it like to lose the one you thought was the one? Knees don't bend sideways. Well, they shouldn't. That your brain refuses to let us forget trauma. Apparently if you have a full bowel obstruction you can vomit feces. That when crushing on someone, listen to the world and to what's really going on versus what's going on in your head. Wouldn't have lost a friend had I kept my head out of my ass. Sometimes people who you trust the most will betray you. Most people in your life would abandon you at the first sign of inconvenience. If you find someone who doesn't, appreciate them accordingly. Your worst enemy is usually yourself. Sometimes your poop conspires with your fart to come out at the same time. If you're in a relationship, or want to be in one, be yourself. Be honest about your feelings. Towards yourself first, then towards your partner. Don't be afraid to stop things if it's going wrong. Never give up on your ideals of a relationship just to have one. That will backfire. 15-year-old you may be able to do a cartwheel, 35-year-old you probably can't. Source: lying on the ground holding my knee and trying not to swear while the 3-year-old cousin I was trying to entertain laughs his head off and repeatedly asks me to do it again. 1. Being attacked and severely beaten half to death hurts physically. But the lasting emotional pain is worse and more damaging. 2. Doesn't matter how hard you try and how many things you try, some people can't see things from anybody else's perspective. This sucks more than it sounds. Some people think that terrible things only happen to people in the movies. And they will never believe you no matter how hard you try to tell them that you actually had a pretty traumatizing life. War is not noble or glorious. It's brutal and awful. Even though we don't swing swords and axes anymore. It's still an awful lot of hard work. But yeah. I guess killing people is hard work. I can picture in my mind a world without war. A world without hate. And I can picture us attacking that world because they'd never expect it. Narcissists. Sociopaths and anyone who will have a profoundly negative impact on your life will give you a hint of their true character very early on. How to deal with drunken people. People you consider your closest and most loved friends may not feel the same about you. Make sure there's TP before you start pooping. Leaving your abusive partner is much easier said than done, but believe me, it's not nearly as difficult as it will be a few years from now. Don't make decisions when you're sad and don't make promises when you're happy. Work is not like school. People at work want to see results, not effort or improvement. Don't assume your boss is necessarily a teacher or a mentor, or that your learning or your career are their main concern. It may be of no concern to them at all. Being polite and considerate of your neighbors will not ensure return of the same to you. If something is too good to be true, it is. Can't even count how many times that happened. That's basically what shopping on Wish feels like. I don't shop there, but I always have to warn my parents that Wish is sketchy AF. No matter how good I am. Certain people aren't ready for relationships or the responsibility of maintaining one until they are older. Trying to force yourself to improve doesn't help either. That being kissed by someone doesn't mean they like you. How much some parents can only think about themselves and neglect their child. Ren, former investigator for CPS. The child deaths were awful, but the incredibly Thai parents are what really stuck with me. Sneezing too hard will either break or dislocate your ribs. I can't remember which. Just that the pain was immediate. Overwhelming. The logic you use to talk yourself out of therapy is what a good therapist will help you change. Edit. If you're in college you may get access to free therapy. Semicolon. Third degree burns aren't really that fun. Hold with both hands when you're shooting a gun. Don't drive on acid when touring Tennessee. The jail in Nashville is scary you see. Semicolon. Don't write bad checks while crossing state lines. Cacti in Texas flatten tires with spines. Don't argue with cops when they tell you don't run. I'm missing some teeth after wrestling with one. Semicolon. Avoid DNA sites if you don't want the truth. Your mother may have been more frisky in youth. Don't have kids early. Nor discover too late that your youth is for you. And marriage can wait. Semicolon. Semicolon. Tell her you love her at the start of the game. Don't wait to be honest and hide in your shame. But sometimes in love just means sharing some trauma. Love can't be built on nothing but drama. Semicolon. Be nice to your knees. Be good to your heart. Telling the truth is only a start. You too will get old. You too will lose health. Emotional well-being is worth more than wealth. Semicolon. And if you must know the hardest thing I've found true. What makes you insecure is what makes you. Doctors, dentists don't always have your best interest in mind. When I was 17, I went to the dentist on my own for the first time and he tricked me into getting an expensive procedure I didn't really need. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. Cops don't like when you drive on a particular sidewalk in my town apparently. Meeting your heroes and idols can suck. Racism in China. I moved there when I was 20. From Africa. Lol. Never date someone who has a fearful avoidant attachment style. I knew it was going to be bad but not that bad. Anxiety is often the cause of depression. Grief stays. It becomes less pronounced over the years. But it stays with you until it's your time. Rapists are not shady figures in dark alleys. They can be your boyfriend. And if he says yes, Zully abused his baby sister because I watched a PRNO and I wanted to know how it felt. Run. He didn't change. He is looking for more victims. May he rot in hell. Eater. Thanks for the award and the support. This happened 5 years ago. And I had time to process and get over it. Sadly, the way he did it, stealthing, is not illegal in my country, Argentina. His sister is not doing so okay. Their family has a not so healthy dynamic. Abuse included. You can't feed a dog GRPs. Apparently. Of all the things a dog can't eat, this is the one people really don't know about. No GRPs and nothing with raisins. I've had 2 friends whose dogs got sick and one almost died from either eating or being fed GRPs. People who seem to truly need help but don't ask for or want it will see your attempts to help them as an affront no matter how kind and gentle you tried to be. You should not help those who don't ask in your personal life or you'll develop a reputation as someone who's nosy, too critical, and a pain to be around. I still offer my help as tactfully as I can. But if someone tells me no thanks, I drop it and move on. That flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. Archer. I know if you throw a peanut butter and jelly sandwich overhand as hard as you can, then there's only a 50% chance it stays together. Even the people closest to you whom you truly would never suspect might stab you in the back. You can have everything you ever wanted and still be unhappy. I got the good job that felt like a true calling with a great benefits and perks package. Moved 1,000 miles away into a gorgeous apartment. And have all the awesome little things I thought I needed. Meal delivery. Gadgets. Gaming PC. Close bracket. 3 years in. Quarantine hits and I realize how empty it all is. My family and friends are all back home and I never managed to make connections in the new place. Quit my job and am moving back in with my family as an adult, but I'm actually looking forward to spending time with them as I sort everything out. Thinking of the new job as just a paycheck and not my identity. I thought all I wanted was a perfect career and money for luxuries, but it doesn't mean without people you love. Doctors are human. They make mistakes. They don't know everything. You have to advocate for yourself and educate yourself. You can have PTSD from medical trauma. There is absolutely nothing you can do to make the people you love care about you. It's entirely up to them. It doesn't matter if they're your parents, your siblings, your friends. You can love them fully and unconditionally, and they can still hate you with passion to no fault of your own. Flinching whenever you do something around them, not necessarily a sudden movement, means that they have been through some bad things and it has nothing to do with you. So you don't need to feel like it's your fault, and also don't tell them to stop it. It doesn't help edit. CPR has an abysmally low success rate. Can we just put out there that a low success rate is infinitely more successful than not attempting CPR? Don't not do it because it probably won't work. And even if it's bad CPR, it's better than no CPR. Also, on this topic, before you start, ensure that someone has called an ambulance. If you're on your own, this means call before you start, cause there isn't any stopping once you begin. Unless you're physically exhausted. Some good tips: make sure help is coming first. It's tough and exhausting work, so if there is more than one of you, take it in turns every couple of minutes to do chest compressions. You have to compress quite hard and deep to be effective. Move the person off any bed or couch or cushion thing onto a floor. Otherwise it won't be effective. If you have to drag the person in a way that's not that great to get them on the floor, that's okay. Any bruises and cuts will heal if they survive. Although do try and protect the head and neck if possible. You can have the best plans and be so prepared. But sometimes things come down to randomness and timing. There are few worse feelings than that numb, cold. Not all stories have a happy ending. You can work the hardest you've ever worked in your entire life and sacrifice so much, and things still go to in the end no matter what. That the longer you wait to start saving for retirement and learning about being fiscally responsible in general, the harder it is to live comfortably throughout your adult life. when it comes to dating and making friends. If you tend to be a lonely type, focus on being choosy, not accommodating. Sometimes people don't deserve a chance. If enough people are telling you someone is full of crap, you should probably listen. The amount of pain it is for a parent to die when you're a little kid. I miss my mom so much. It haunts me to this day. That people will use a mistake you made to hide behind when a decision they made that has went severely wrong. I have been stressed out all weekend due to this happening to me at work, involving a customer negating to tell the truth on a decision he made, and the worst happening. I won't go into much detail yet, but depending on how my work handle this, I may lose my job, but I will be pursuing for slander. If several beautiful ladies buy you, as a man, drinks in a bar, double check that your drunk ass didn't accidentally stumble into a gay bar that's doing a drag review night. 20 years later and still some of the hottest women I've ever seen. Don't throw water on a grease fire. Some men will do anything for sex. To any company you work for, you are a replaceable cog. No matter if you are a clerk or a senior vice president, you are totally expendable. HR is there to protect the company or the workers, and filing a complaint will almost always make the situation worse. Never let them know if you are ill, having depression issues, family problems, or money problems. Once they think you are not focused on the goals of the company, you are toast. Work isn't about the survival of the fittest. It is about knowing how to negotiate the politics. Believe people when they say you're too good for them and they do not deserve you. Will save you so much heartache. Neglect. It's becoming increasingly more common. But it's not like my parents were rich and I was taken care of by a nanny. I was my parents' nanny. An unpopular or disliked person might change for the better, but that doesn't mean the person's positive changes will be immediately accepted by others. Don't stand under what you're welding. Set my jacket on fire. Wear gloves when operating a vice-mounted belt sander. I have one blank fingerprint. Pay attention to the stream of sparks from an angle grinder. Set my other jacket on fire. Wear goggles when operating a chainsaw. Sawdust in the eye is more agonizing than any of the others. Contractors and handymen are less expensive than medical bills. Men can be gold diggers too. This should be popular knowledge. Dating someone older definitely doesn't mean they're more mature and all know themselves and what they want. Everyone will take advantage of you if you let them. If you don't want to have sex with your boyfriend but he makes you do it anyway, it's still RP. Cops lie. No matter how much you work, it will never be enough. Never ever trust anyone at work. A person under me would gossip about everyone and everything. I started venting to him as well, thinking we are friends. He turned around and reported me to HR. I still don't know why. I did nothing to him. I had no assignments for 4 months. I honestly thought I was going to get fired during COVID. What I think saved me was that a lot of people quit. And they desperately need people. They put me on a PIP at work. I kind of feel bad, but I try to look at the bright side. I got off of a really demanding and toxic project. I learned never to trust anyone at work regardless of how nice they are. I was stressed out during that time, but used that time to study. That guy was working non-stop, with no raise or promotion. I feel stupid, but I tell myself I learned. That guy. Some people just aren't meant for you. That watching YouTube videos all day for 6 years is not a good idea. In life, one backup plan is not enough. You can get a debilitating sickness out of the blue even though you are healthy. Cemeteries are full of people who thought that they were irreplaceable at their jobs. When there's a terrorist attack, be prepared to work 7 days a week, about 14 hours each day for 2 straight months. Don't use aftershave on genitals after shaving. A good percentage of doctors practicing today were educated before mental illness was taken seriously in the medical field and haven't changed their views on it since. Yes. I know I'm young and have my whole life ahead of me. No. No one I love died. Yes. I'm aware there's no reason for me to be feeling this way. That's why I'm here. Now can you do your job and get me access to treatment? Please? If you pee on an electric fence, it really hurts. If you are trying to save money by hiding it somewhere, always make a note of the place where you're keeping it, CZ you'll forget. This seems something very obvious, but I just lost her $100 today, so yeah. Life's a bitch and then we're dead. Hard drugs are bad. MMK. Alcohol is the real gateway drug. IMO. Lots of people say it's weed. But I've yet to meet anyone who hadn't gotten drunk first before they try weed. Then, if you're a certain kind of person, it can take a bad turn from there. 99% of heroin addicts started off drinking milk. What a death rattle the breathing of a dying person sounds like. It's so uncomfortable to listen to. Latex paint really stings when it gets in your eyes. And it doesn't taste very good. Sometimes you have to disappoint others to make yourself happy. It's okay. That if you work in a high stress job, you can still have nightmares about that job years afterwards. Domestic violence happens every day, night, almost hourly. I work at a 911 call center. This is the most common call I get easily. My first day on the job, my very first call, was hearing a husband trying to break down a locked bathroom door with a terrified wife inside. And then the next. And the next.